So good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out on a miserable evening. It's a big deal. I'm sure you want to be sitting alongside your own fire. So thank you for that. And thanks to those online who have joined as well. Did I press that maybe by mistake? So back to the... Okay, 2 my name is Yvonne O'Meara, and my background is I'm a psychosocial oncologist and systemic psychotherapist. And you might think, what the hell is that? So originally I started working as a social worker in oncology, both here and in North America. But during my time in Dublin, I went back and studied psychotherapy, but systems psychotherapy. So I'm very comfortable working with couples and families, because I believe cancer not only impacts the individual, but it impacts the entire system. And so that's where my base is. And so I work in private practice, but I am employed with UCD, with the School of Medicine, and I'm the Women's Cancer Survivorship Research Coordinator. So the women's, this is my first slide, is it?
Yeah, we just tried to share the screen.
So there are 3 hospitals. So I suppose the origins of the Women's Health Initiative, 2 years ago, there was a call came out from the Irish Cancer Society. They decided to plough a bit more money into women's cancers after how many years? And so kudos to them for finally getting it up off the ground. And so there was a big call out. And so there was lots of meetings within rooms such as this, and various different teams applied for the grant, but there were 2 teams successful. One of the teams was led by Professor Donald Brennan, who you probably have met when he came down to present a number of years ago. And the other person that you may have met, or the other person that got the grant, was Roisin Connolly, and she's based in UCC. She's an oncologist, so a person who specialises in giving chemotherapy, and she's a special interest in breast cancer. And so Donald is a gynae oncologist, so he's a surgeon who specialises in the 5 gynecological cancers that we spoke about earlier. And so this is the team. So Louise and Aideen are nurse specialists. That's me in the middle. And then Fionnán is the senior registrar. So he is a gentleman who will eventually get to become a Donal, I suppose. So I suppose what's important is that it's a Dublin-based initiative, but why I'm really proud of the projects I'm going to talk to you today about is that we have, I suppose, ploughed, hi there, you're welcome. We have ploughed a lot of time and energy into making our projects accessible to everybody in the country, because having worked with those impacted by cancer, there can often be a sense of isolation, not only geographically, but actually a fear of that their service is not good enough because it's not in Dublin. And for me, it was really important that we were able to support all women in Ireland and their significant others impacted in this case, gynecological cancer. So I'm particularly proud of it for that reason. So there's 3 hospitals in Dublin that are involved. That's Vincent's, the Mater, and the National Maternity Hospital. So I'm not moving there. Can you move? Perfect. So we have concentrated on 4 studies. So the grant is 2 years. And so the MAX study, which I'm going to talk to you about because it may be of interest to somebody, or it may be of interest to somebody who you know. I'm not going to talk about the diagnosis image and diagnosis delivery card, but hopefully you'll come to a centre close to you. There's a survivorship clinic running in the Mater and in Vincent's, but I won't talk to you about that. And I will talk to you about the ThisIsGO.ie platform. So, sorry, it doesn't seem to, oh, no, that's gone back. Okay, perfect. So the MAX study, so the Menopause After Cancer study, I think went, sorry. So Menopause After Cancer study. So this is a study that if you are having, if you're symptomatic as a result of your cancer-induced menopause, you can have, and you're not recommended to have HRT, so that's hormone replacement therapy, because your cancer might be genetically sensitive to it. This study is for you. Sorry. Okay, so There are 4 parts to it, so we call it's multimodal. So it's a quite a complicated study for Fanon. So Fanon, who I showed you a picture of earlier, he's the lead on it. It's quite a complicated study. I think he's had to have perhaps over 1,000+ engagements with those that are partaking in it, not with one person, but the entire study. He's to recruit 205 women. But some of it is about information sharing, just so giving you accurate information as to what's happening to you physically. The other is about giving you some non-hormonal medication to alleviate your symptoms. Another aspect is to give you a CBT, so it's a cognitive behavioral therapy to address your sleep issues. So a lot of women wake up at night not sleeping properly as a result of their what we call vasomotor symptoms as a result of their menopause. So it's able to look at that aspect of things. And what we find preliminary in the study is that when people are able to have a better night's sleep, the other symptoms that are happening in the day become much more manageable. And then we also are looking at to see if these women have partners or significant others in their lives, are they coping better? So are you talking about your menopause at home, and are you more likely to be coping better with the side effects as opposed to not talking about your menopause at home? So it's a hypothesis. So we're going to see if there's any insight into that. So right now we're on week, I think probably 35 at this stage, and Fanon has recruited 79%. So there's still about 30 people that need to be recruited. So if you believe that you may be eligible, or you know somebody who has a cancer or who has had a cancer and is not eligible for HRT and is suffering, please send them to Fanon. So we hope to be finished the recruitment at the end of the month, and that the results will be available in September. So if you log on to macstudy.ie, and I'm very happy to share these slides, please reach out to Fanon. Again, it's accessible to any woman in Ireland. We'll support you no matter where you are geographically. And then the second project I'd like to talk to you about is the ThisIsGO.ie. So as you can see, there's a common theme with GO: World Go Day, World Gynae Oncology Day. So we ran with this idea. We put it out. Well, what I initially did is I put it to the society that Sharon and I set up, the Irish Society of Gynecological Public and Patient Involvement Group, and teased out the idea of what would we call the website. And we got many. The Hope Road, there was lots of great ones, but we eventually felt that we should probably make the word go synonymous with gynae oncology, that if everybody could start talking this go language, that it would complement our European and our worldwide colleagues. And that's what we've done. So we've ISGO, PPI, and then Sharon was talking about ESGO, so European Society of Gynecological Oncology. So it made a lot of sense for us to call it ThisIsGO. But believe you me, it took a long time to get there. The ring, or the symbol. So again, you've go, and then you've the road that we travel when we're going through gynae oncology and beyond, and the colours again representing all 5 gynecological cancers. And I say it, as I say, very smooth off the tongue, but actually it took a long time. Took a long time. So our hope is that by the end of the year that we will cover all 5 gynecological cancers. It's a massively expensive project. Sharon mentioned very humbly there that Ovacare gave some contribution to us. They gave us the biggest contribution that charity has ever, that they have ever given to any of your organisation or fundraisers that have asked for funding. And yeah, without it, the ovarian leg would not have been possible. So pharma have sponsored us, so the likes of GSK or the big pharmaceutical companies, but it's hugely expensive. And it wouldn't have been possible without obviously the backdrop of the Irish Cancer Society. So right now we are, I'm afraid to press something in case is there a light? No, I better not. Is there? Oh, the light is the big one, is it? Oh yeah, perfect. So right now we have covered cervical cancer. So that's what we launched on World Gynae Oncology Day. And we launched on the 4th of February ovarian cancer. And this was launched on World Cancer Day just at the start of this year. So I'm going to talk to you about how the platform can complement this group that you're using. for the next couple of minutes. So it was endorsed by Stephen Donnelly recently, which was really nice to see and hear that he actually is taking heed of what it is that us plebs at the side are doing, and our small little groups, which is great. I do firmly believe that it's the way forward in how we disseminate information for our patients, not just gynecological cancers, but actually all chronic illness, I believe, should be in a platform that's accessible, personalized to them. And so it's kind of broadening that personalized medicine concept that we have. We talk about personalized medicine, we talk about kind of the genetics, like in North America, it'd be like, you know, targeting your cancer. Whereas I actually see it as a much broader experience. I think it should be around how you position yourself within your family, your psychological state. So personalizing it to a really nice micro level. So I'm delighted to say I'm currently working on Go Cancer Genetics. So when we started off, we thought that we would include the inheritary cancers like Lynch syndrome and BRCA in the ovarian pathway, but actually it was too big to cover. We felt it needed its own. So I'm currently populating that right now. I just came from, or earlier on today, I just ran a focus group for those impacted by Lynch syndrome, to see what they want included in the pathway. And I'm about to do the BRCA one tomorrow evening. So it will be, again, it doesn't exist in Ireland. I don't know if any of you know Josephine Hagerty. She's a really brilliant nurse, but research nurse down in Cork. And she produced a paper commissioned by the Irish Cancer Society recently about how poor our services support those with inheritary cancers like BRCA and Lynch syndrome. So this is a step towards complementing information in this country. It won't slice people's waiting list times, unfortunately, but it might give them macro information in this one-stop shop. So this is how a platform starts eventually. So initially we start with a whole load of professionals in the room. So this was the ovarian pathway. So a number of people that Karen mentioned, or that Sharon mentioned there. So Dr. Karen Cadu was here, Donald Brennan was here. We had a number of nurse specialists, and we literally brainstormed the medical pathway of what, in this case, ovarian cancer. What happens? You walk in, what if you've stage 1? What's your treatment? What if you've stage 2? What's your treatment? What if you've stage 3B, A? So we literally go through every single pathway. So it looks like a hot mess there, but, and so our designers or our computer analysts that do the work for us, Full Circle is the company, and they've been amazing. So they're there on hand and they do the pathway for us. And then what we do, or he does, or their company does, they put it on a grid. So this is the, so this is the pathway. This is the pathway originally. So you create your, so this is you, the user, you create your profile, you give your clinical status. So are you concerned and not diagnosed? Are you newly or recently diagnosed? Are you under surveillance? So are you not in any treatment, but you're on that space right now? Or do you have a recurrence? And so we talk through each pathway. If you've a BRCA mutation, so this is the ovarian pathway. So say you're newly or recently diagnosed, do you know your stage? And if you do, you tell us your stage, or maybe you don't know your stage. And so if you know your stage, we ask you stage 1 or 2 or stage 3 or 4, because there's very different treatments for these stages. And so the more information you have in your login, the more personalized your profile will become. And so for surveillance, we ask for recurrence. So if you've recurred, is it your first recurrence, or is your treatment finished? And therefore, if it is your first recurrence, it'll prompt you 6 months since your treatment finished, or less than 6 months. And again, we do this because it has different connotations for the treatment that you'll be offered. So this is the public and patient involvement in the first pathway, the cervical cancer. And I highlight it to you because, oh God, why such a spanner, sorry, at this, because the purple highlights how much public and patient involvement that we put into it. So there was over 70 people that populated the first platform. The amount of articles is up on probably 140 to 150 in each topic, in each cancer stream rather. And so as you can see from the get-go, I put a call out to the PPI on October. On the 1st of October, we agreed that we were going to move forward with this idea of a personalized online space. And then they've literally been involved with us right to the end. We got a non-cancer group to have a look at it initially to see what they would think, because their lens is different to our lens. And that was really, really helpful. And they helped us very much actually with the design, kind of wanting to create a warm space for people, because they felt that people might feel very cold or lonely or isolated when they were diagnosed with cancer. So we hope that the website can translate that warmth. And so towards the end, the PPI workshops and the participants that volunteer to do it, and they are paid for their time, they get the website before it goes live. They work through the pathways and they give me feedback, which then we implement before it goes live. So I can't say how important the patient voice is in all aspects of this. And so the ovarian cancer pathway, again, the purple there, but much less involvement because I've become much more efficient with it. So I do a lot of things offline with them. And also I just have a better flow because there's a lot of repetition. The clinical pathway will obviously always be unique, but the other topics will be less so. So this is the website, as Sharon said, and we've just changed the wording there because it's actually much more than your partner. So we've now just put you and yours, just because we don't want to isolate anybody. So you would go in and you would create a profile there. That's just a little bit about the group. So this is what you would be met with. Be given an option is to click on. Right now, as I say, we've only 2 pathways completed. And then you create a password, you make a selection of your age, and then the topics that I discussed. And then you'll be met with Claire. Claire will give you a brief welcome, and she's a gynae oncologist in the matter. And so I think I clicked, I was concerned but not diagnosed. So the information that it turns up to me was what's ovarian cancer, symptom tracker and the beat symptoms, the risk factors, and the various different stages. So quite educational. And then on the bottom part, preparing for your hospital visit. So again, really practical stuff in this. I can't stress how many brilliant tips patients can give other patients. BRCA information, psychological wellness, and find a service. So we have a service directory around Ireland supporting the various different support services that are available to you. But it's much more than that. So up here in this burger, they call it, you can search for any information or topic that you wish. So perhaps you're searching for menopause, or a particular topic that I'm very passionate about is sexual wellness, or talking to children about cancer. And so if you click on that, there will be a vault of information available to you, useful resources, podcasts, a real blended approach, information, videos, etc., supporting you and I suppose the things that sometimes don't get talked about or that are difficult to ask about. So this is the cervical cancer. I've said in this one that I had stage 2. So it tells me about stage 2. It tells me the treatment for stage 2, which is chemotherapy and radiotherapy. And it tells me what to expect in my first appointment. And I suppose we want all the gynae oncologists and the oncologists in the country to be talking about the GO language. We wanted to complement them because everything in this we stand over. Every single thing we believe is accurate, and it's something that is rapidly changing, particularly the treatment of ovarian cancer actually at the moment. And so we have a section called Decoding the Science, which is the most recent research papers. We've broken them down into layman's terms that tell you exactly why decisions are being changed or made in practice. If you go back where a surgeon said before, oh no, we're definitely doing surgery first, and then went back and said, oh no, actually it's now chemotherapy. Well, there's a reason why that is, and that scientific paper will be decoded, broken down into layman's terms that you can access. And so we know that in stage 2, you will have invasive surgery where your ovaries will be removed, you'll have menopause. So we feel that that would be very important. Generally speaking, women with cervical cancer are of a lower or younger age group. And so potentially they may be working. So we're popping that up as what they might find important, and diet and exercise. And when I say these topics are robust, they are. So we have a section for healthcare professionals. And the reason why I bring that up is it's actually really, it's been 1/3 of our users, healthcare professionals, have been logging in. So we're able to track who's logging on, and not personally, but just the profile. And so a third of our users have been healthcare professionals. So say I logged on and I click on one of the articles there. So what would I see? I'd see the role of chemotherapy before surgery, the role of chemotherapy following surgery, and what is ascites, because we know that this is one of those side effects. And also, sorry, it tells me that, that there's 6 minutes. It tells me this is reading, and if there's a video, it'll tell me that as well. So in the healthcare professionals, I decided to populate it and how to break bad news. When you were told you had a cancer, or maybe when you were told you had a recurrence, if it went well, you're generally not going to get stuck in that area. But if it goes unwell, it can profoundly impact how you cope thereafter. And so to support our healthcare professionals, also how to take a psychosexual history. Often patients are not asked. I've sat alongside gynae oncologists who have said to me, Yvonne, nobody's interested in sex over 50. So it's kind of demystifying that for patients. They're just happy they're alive. They might be happy they're alive the first year. Maybe the second year, they're starting to get back into the rhythm in their life, and maybe they want to reconnect sexually. So it's about giving advice and support on how to do that, how they can ask these questions, but how you can engage and stimulate your desire as well. And just PARP inhibitors as well, that. So what are the statistics so far? So over 18,000 have visited, and this is 2 weeks old now. Nearly 4,000 have gone to the homepage. 1,200 plus have gone to create a profile, and 250 close have created a profile. So the conversion rate is 20%. So this is apparently quite high. So if you think of your online shopping, you might go to a website several times before you actually make that purchase. So a conversion rate for you maybe is, in the general population, is about 6%. So actually having a conversion rate of 20% is actually quite high. So what we know is people are thinking about it before they actually do it. So we've had visitors from all 32 counties, which is great. And then we've had visitors overseas from 38 countries to date, and ever increasing. So Dublin is our biggest one there, but hopefully by having meetings and discussing and spreading the word, and you utilising it as a support to you, that it will increase further. So what are the things in cervical cancer? What were they discussing? So there was 28 created concerned but not diagnosed. 65 healthcare professionals created a profile. New or recently diagnosed was 27%. Very few partners. I have a specific pathway for partners because I feel they're often the silent patient. It's very difficult to get them to tell their story as well. So if you know anybody who's prepared to, please get them to talk to me. Recurrence 5, and then surveillance 65, which is what you would expect. So the top 3 topics of those people, what were they using? So diet and exercise, about recurrence, menopause, this is for cervical cancer, and then the articles, symptom tracker, about stage 1, and questions to ask at your appointment. It's amazing actually and so questions to ask at your appointment. There's also a video there by one of the consultants who tells you why he asks the questions he asks, and he tells you the questions that he asks. So really demystifying why certain questions are asked, because some people can be offended. And then for ovarian cancer, again, concerned and not diagnosed, only 8, healthcare professionals 12. So this is only a month old, these statistics. It's obviously a much newer, recently diagnosed 12. Partners, recurrence and surveillance, again, is the biggest, is 14. And then what are they looking at? Diet and exercise, stage 3 to 4 chemotherapy, and this is not surprising, again, so because this is when people are most diagnosed, the stage that they are with ovarian cancer. They're looking about BRCA, so I'm only delighted that we're going to have this BRCA genetic pathway. Symptom tracker and role of chemotherapy pre-surgery, and what is ovarian cancer and how do we treat it. So these are all the collaborators that have helped us to date with the Women's Health Initiative, both in Ireland and overseas. And finally, the Irish Cancer Society, without them, it wouldn't have been possible. Thank you for your time and attention.